Hello everyone, today we're going to learn how to animate flaming punches in the easiest way possible, and in under 10 minutes. First, we start off by creating and naming our project on flipaclip. I'll be using 24 frames per second for this animation. I'll also turn on the grid lines to keep the stickman height consistent all through the animation. With a good pen size, let's get to animating. Here's a quick run through of the animation. The stickman stands in the rest position, then makes 2 punches on the dummy stickman. We'll animate the punches first, then add the flames later. We'll start off with the rest pose, then make the stickman raise up his hand calling flames in anticipation for the punch. You can follow along with the time-lapse. While it's going on, I'll be answering some of your questions. Vat asks, how do you get the sounds for your animations? Well, to get sounds for my animations, I go on my internet browser and type in the type of sound effects I want to download, then download the MP3 files of them, and I also got a ton of sound effects pack from the Heinz Dojo website. So basically, I get the sound effects from the internet and add them using my editing software, CapCut or KineMaster. Now in this frame, the stickman makes the punch. Make sure to bend him slightly as he goes in for the punch. Since it's a double punch, after the first punch he withdraws his hands, then swings in for the second one. Now, back to the questions. Ollie asks, is there any chance of you buying a PC and teaching us editing or an animation software? Well, I do have plans of buying a PC and animating with other softwares, but I don't know for sure if I will make videos on them. I guess we'll have to wait and find out. It seems like we're done with the double punches. Now I'll add some extra frames of him with his hands out, just for some extra delay. Hey, if you're enjoying this video, please give it a thumbs up. It helps reach more animators too. After that's done, I'll copy and paste some frames to adjust timing. I'll also use the lasso tool to slightly do the shaky effect for when the stickman makes the punch. Finally, we're done with the stickman. Let's animate the opponent's stickman getting hit. If you want to learn how to animate a stickman being hit, I've already made a video on that. Check the link in the description and go through the playlist videos. On a new layer, let's animate the red stickman getting hit. Now back to your questions. Stickin9 asks, who gave you the idea of opening a channel? Well, I didn't get the idea of opening a channel until I met a couple of animators on Facebook who also had channels, and I got inspired to share my first animation on YouTube, although at the time I didn't consider myself a YouTuber. Now for the next question. Stickster 9.0 asks, where do you get your choreography ideas? Most times I get my ideas from my imagination, but sometimes I can get inspiration from anime fight scenes or watching other amazing stick fight animators. One thing to note in the animation is that as the red stickman gets hit, some sort of recoil should be added. Now, the next question says, when will you beat Bloodbath from Geometry Dash? I don't even play Geometry Dash, so maybe never? Okay, these questions are a lot. I'll try my best to answer them as briefly as possible. Jero7607 asks, did you draw your backgrounds in flipaclip or a different app? Well, it depends. Sometimes I draw them on flipaclip, and sometimes I use Ibis Paint for drawing backgrounds. The second question says, what is your favorite animation app? Well, my favorite animation app is definitely flipaclip, although I'm attracted to stick nodes these days. Third question says, advice on making stick fight animations. Short answer would be keep practicing. A longer answer would be to watch my video on going from pro to noob as an animator. I already answered the fourth question. For the last question, if you struggle with jittery animations, just use consistent pen size and grid lines to keep the height of the character the same, and this should solve the problem. Finally, we're done with the stickman animation. Let's hit heads. To do this, simply increase the pen size and tap once, creating a dot. Use the dot created as head in the animation, copy, paste, and keep adjusting to your personal preference. Enjoy this quick time lapse as I add the heads. Finally, let's animate the flames. If you don't know anything about animating flames, this tutorial can help, but here's just some tips that would help you animate it better. Animate them on ones using 24 frames per second, and I would suggest you observe fire in real life and see how it behaves. This would help in a general sense to understand the motion of flames. Now back to the animation. At the frame where he raises his hands up, we draw the flames coming out from there, and it flows along with him even as he makes the punches. You can follow along with this time-lapse and watch how it's done. Meanwhile, let me get back to answering your questions. Nehemiah asks, how can I make motion blur in a fast move or in a spin? I already made a video on adding effects to your animations. Check out the tutorial playlist in the description. Okay, for his second question, where do you get your sound effects? I already answered this. I get all my sound effects from the internet and Hyan's Dojo website. Finally, he asks, how can I make keyframes if I don't have flipaclip plus? Well, if you don't have plus, I don't think you would be able to add keyframes. You could just try straight ahead method. For the next question, we have Delphi 9292 asking, do you like impact frames? Well, yes, of course, I enjoy animating impact frames. I think they add life to even the most boring animation. You could literally slap on impact frames on anything and it'll look epic. Well, this is not a question, but Pizza Bacon says, ask me a question. Well, what do you like the most about this channel? For the last question of this video, Zid4733 asks, what is your favorite food? I don't have one. I just eat whatever tastes good, although it used to be pasta. Now enjoy the flame animation time-lapse. After the flame has been animated, to give it more life, turn on the glow option and adjust the settings to your preference. After that's done, you should have this. If you enjoyed this video, click here to watch another one, and check out the tutorial playlist here, and for more of my videos, check out the second channel.